Laser sights can deter threats and aid in quick target identification, enhancing your ability to protect your family, home, and country. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Welcome to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, where there's more to talk about than shooting. There's reloading and hunting and self-defense, too.
Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. We're having a ball today talking about, well, the guns that you have, the guns that I have. We're getting your range reports. If you'd like to join us with that, by all means, give me a holler, 866-TALK-GUN. Also talking about guns for Christmas. Yeah, it's that time of year. Long boxes, short boxes under the tree, always fun. But, we still have to talk about our Second Amendment rights and what's going on and the threats to them. And they come from a lot of different directions. Sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes, in this case, the Obama administration program known as Operation Choke Point, the idea was not to go after you, the gun owner, but was to go after the firearms industry in total. Well, how do you do that? And how do you do it without a law? Well, because they couldn't pass laws. People say, well, Obama didn't do anything about guns. Yeah, well, he tried to destroy the entire industry with a program of cutting off all of their financial services. It was called Operation Choke Point. And joining me to talk about that right now is Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer from Missouri.
My pleasure, Tom. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. So Operation Choke Point, for those who don't know, was essentially a program to choke off financial services, stop banking services, if you will, to certain industries. And from our standpoint, from Gun Talk, one of those industries, of course, there was payday loans and others, but one of them was the firearms industry. And I don't know, maybe you could explain it. I don't know if everybody quite understands the existential threat that comes to a company or an industry when it doesn't have financial services.
Yeah, no, it's, the DOJ, Department of Justice, and FDIC colluded together to intimidate banks into cutting off financial services to gun manufacturers, ammunition manufacturers, and gun shop owners, besides a group of other industries. And from the standpoint of, imagine if you no longer could use your credit card at your local Walmart. Imagine if you could no longer go to your local bank and get a loan for your car or a loan for your house. In other words, there was no financial services. You couldn't cash a check at your local bank. How are you going to keep your business going if whenever somebody called and they want to give you a credit card transaction that you couldn't take that credit card transaction or take a check over in the mail? That's what they were doing, is choking off the ability of businesses to do business. And these businesses, as you well know, Tom, there's nothing illegal about arms manufacturing and ammunition manufacturing, having a gun shop and just selling guns. There's nothing illegal about that. That's all regulated. It's all legal. And as long as you're doing business in a legal fashion, you should not be harmed and really driven out of business by the lack of ability to have financial services. But yet this is what they were doing.
That's really the point. Is the goal was, and it was actually stated, the goal was stated to drive them out of business, to basically destroy industries.
Yeah, and they they expanded to other ones, and there was about a month, 6 weeks ago now, I guess. The payday lending folks have an association, and they had filed a lawsuit. And this lawsuit they've got so much information and so much testimony and emails that from the inner workings of all of the DOJ and FDIC people that they ask for a summary judgment, which is they believe they have so much overwhelming evidence to get a judgment against the other party that they just want the judge to decide the case. And so they released all their documentation, 900 and some pages of documentation of all this, showing all of the collusion that was going on and the intimidation tactics that they used and the thought process of these people. There was an email there that said, if there was one payday lender in this district left, that the guy that was in charge, FDIC, the regional director that was in charge, won't get fired.
So if you don't destroy everyone, if you, the government employee, if you don't destroy every vestige of this industry in your area, we'll fire you.
That's right. And so they went, and there's another, with regards to some other industries, there's an email that the bank, to a banker that said that if they didn't do away with this entire industry within their book of business, not just a particular client, but the entire industry within their book of business, they were going to come back in and audit the bank every single week until they got rid of them. The intimidation tactics, and you stop and think about it from the bank's perspective, we're sitting here trying to do business, and you have the examiners coming in and talking about reputational risk, which is a very nebulous term that nobody's ever really been able to define, yet it's an intimidation tactic of the examiners. And I'm a former examiner as well as a former banker, so I understand exactly what they're trying to do and how they're doing this and how it works.
Sure.
And so this is why I fight it so hard, because I understand what they're trying to do, and they've been getting away with it, and I'm not going to let them do it anymore. But, they're sitting there trying to intimidate these businesses, and the businesses say, look, I've got several hundred different clients in my book of business here, and I've got one that's causing me all these headaches, and these examiners sitting on here, on my back all the time. If I just get rid of them, all this problem goes away. And so from the banker standpoint, it's like, let's get rid of a problem and let's go on and focus on what we can actually do to make money and service the rest of our community. And so from their standpoint, they alleviate a headache and a problem that has been a thorn in their side. And the technical part of this is that the examiners would almost never put this in writing. And so the bill that I've got forces them to put it in writing and explain why they think this industry or this particular business needs to be cut off from financial services, and point to the law that says that they're doing something illegal. And so the examiners can never do this with Operation Choke Point's activity. And so and we've got the bill through the House. It's sitting in the appropriations bill now that's getting ready to come back from the Senate, and I think we've got a good shot to keep it in there. I was talking to the Financial Services Appropriations Chairman, Sub-Chair yesterday, and he says it's still in there, going to try and hold it, and if they can keep it in there. And it passed the House, I think, 406 to 4 or something like that. I think we've got a good shot to get it through. So, but part of what it does, it forces the FDIC to actually put in writing something instead of sitting there and verbally intimidating people, which they are still doing, by the way.
They're still doing. Let me throw out a talking point that you may be able to use. I was looking at this, and actually I was thinking about my time when I was at Mizzou, and we were watching the Watergate hearings. That's a long time ago. We're talking 45 years ago now. And it occurred to me that Operation Choke Point, where you identify industries that you don't like and try to destroy them, is absolutely no different in any form from the Nixon enemies list.
No, you're exactly right, and this is really a scary situation. Stop and think about this for a minute. If the government can decide which industries live and die, are able to be successful, which ones go away based on political ideology or their own set of values, versus allowing the economy to decide which ones live and die based on the best quality of products and services they offer that are legal. Remember, these are all businesses that are legal now. If you want to do something you don't like them, you make them illegal, or you let the economy decide which ones go out of business based on the lack of or lack of services or quality products. And let the marketplace decide who wins and dies. That's the American way. That's the entrepreneurial way of doing business in our country. And so Operation Choke Point is the antithesis of who we are as Americans and our system and the things that makes us unique and great. And that's what is really frustrating about this and scary from the standpoint that if the government can sit there and make a decision on basically which businesses live and die, we have become a socialist nation, communist nation based on which businesses the government will touch to be able to be successful and which ones say you go away and we will take over that business or allow somebody else to take that business over. It is a really, really scary road that we were headed down.
It is. We're talking with Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer from Missouri. Congressman, I got something to throw at you here. Operation Choke Point continues in a different form. Something's going on interestingly right now, and I don't know what the role of Congress would be in this, other than maybe oversight and looking into it and bringing it up at a hearing, and that is the gun ban industry is going to all these financial services. They said, okay, Operation Choke Point's done, and we know they're trying to bring it back, but for the most part, it's done. But we can do the same thing, and now they've gone, Citibank, Bank of America, a bunch of different banks and financial institutions are one by one saying, we won't do business with anybody in the firearms industry. We're going to cut off your credit cards. That's already happened. We won't process credit cards. We will shut down your bank accounts, not because of a government intervention, but because I call it virtue signaling, but basically one by one. And the industry is slowly being choked off by social engineering from these companies. And I would love to have Congress call some of these folks in and talk to them about that in front of the cameras.
Yeah, that's a pretty tricky area to get into from the standpoint that if again, this is the flip side of what choke point is, in that the businesses themselves are being manipulated not by the government, but they're being manipulated by society. And they're making a societal choice, a business choice based on a societal pressure or societal norm that they believe is important or something that they have to conform to. And that is different. That has, to me, you have to fight that not with a law, but you have to fight that with with changing society's view of guns, changing society's view of the industry as a whole. I'm there to protect the industries and allow the industries to live and die based on their own products and services, but I'm not there to promote the industry from the standpoint that it needs to be able to promote itself, and it needs to be able to protect itself.
And as a capitalist, I get that. The only thing I would add to that is that this is a fundamental constitutional right, the right to keep and bear arms. It's in the Constitution. It's in the Bill of Rights. And if this were companies saying, well, we're going to cut off services to the LBGT community or to any other minority group or any other group, then Congress would leap into that. And yet where we have basically choking off the industry that is at the heart of the Second Amendment, a protected constitutional right, and it's pretty much under the radar.
It's going to be an issue as they continue to, if they continue to do this. To me, I think you solve it by having the gun rights associations and individuals and companies, the gun manufacturing companies, put the pressure on the other way and say, hey, if you don't support us, we're not going to support you. We're going to find other avenues to go through this. Maybe the gun manufacturers need to start their own financial services industry bank of some sort and get into competition with them.
It's been talked about. Wells Fargo has stepped up and said, hey, you know what, we'll take care of that. We'll take all that business. Just bring it to us. So you're right. The free market is at play here.
From the standpoint, as I see choke point going through all these machinations here and forcing all this to happen, my brother and I own a small community bank, and I can tell you that if our bank was a big bank, I'd be jumping in some of these industries and saying, we'll take your risk because we know there's not a risk there. I'm willing to push back on this reputational nonsense because I believe in the entrepreneurial spirit of these businesses and believe that they are worthwhile, they provide a worthwhile service or product, and we need to be supporting them. And you can make money off of them, and they can do a good job of providing a product that's going to be something that people want. So if my little bank was bigger than it is, we'd be jumping in a lot of this right now. And quite frankly, we already finance some of this kind of stuff. So to me, it's not a problem. But you have to find people willing to push back and willing to tell the activists of our society, take a leap, forget about it, to push back at the regulators. And too oftentimes, these groups are not, the banking folks are not willing to do that.
Well, thank you for what you're doing in exposing and pushing back on Operation Choke Point. We've got to make sure that doesn't happen again, and shining that searing light of public scrutiny on it. Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer from Missouri, thank you so much, and please keep us posted on that. And if there's anything we can do to help, let us know.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Tom.
All right. Good info and updates on what's going on with Project Choke Point. These things never go away, do they? They just never seem to go away. 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham. We'll be right back.
Why do hunters and shooters love the Ruger American Rifle? With right-handed and left-handed versions, all-weather, Magnum, Compact, Predator, Ranch, and Scope package options, there's a Ruger American for everyone. Lightweight with an adjustable trigger and minute of angle accuracy, Ruger American rifles pack in the features. Is the Ruger American the best rifle on the market? See for yourself at your local retailer or at Ruger.com. That's Ruger.com.
Tired of searching the web for the best deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today for deals and discounts right at your fingertips. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, optics, lasers, gun safes, targets, gun cleaners, grips, slings, and much, much more. Save money on products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gun Dealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
This is interesting. I'm just found this on policeone.com. It's a website for and by police officers. An article by Mike Wood, What Cops Need to Consider About Armed Citizens. The sub-headline is, the presence of a gun does not always indicate a threat. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We have to get into the police world, and we're seeing that. Now, I don't know if we started this or everybody started it at the same time looking at what's going on there, but I am excited to see this. This is perfect. We've got to start this process. I know that this will be brought up at ILETA, which is a national police firearms training gathering every year. We've made sure that that's going to be on the agenda there. A lot of things going on. And yet it goes on and on. Here's out of Toledo, Ohio. This is interesting. The city of Toledo is going to question gun makers and say that unsuccessful answers will mean they don't get a contract. Wait for it. Here we go. Of course, the city of Toledo announced a new policy that says it will only purchase firearms from, quote, responsible gun companies. In order to determine which companies are responsible, city officials say they will ask 6 questions of manufacturers. The questions are, do you manufacture assault weapons for civilian use? Do you sell assault weapons for civilian use? Which firearms does your company agree not to sell to civilians? Do you require your dealers to conduct background checks? Does your company have a plan in place to invest in gun and ammunition tracing technologies? Do you use, at a minimum, industry best practices for inventory control and transactions? They have Toledo has an annual budget of $150,000 for firearms, ammunition, and parts. They're hoping that they can make a change in how gun companies operate. Well, let's go over these questions. This is interesting because there are some really easy answers. As was pointed out by somebody online, said, look, do you manufacture assault weapons for civilian use? The answer is simply no. I don't care if you make AR-15s or not. Those aren't assault weapons. Just say no. Easy. An assault weapon actually doesn't exist. There's no definition for it, as we know, by design. It was designed. The term was designed to confuse, and the term was designed to frighten. Yet it does both. And so a lot of people think that any semi-automatic is actually a machine gun, full auto. The media is complicit in this confusion. They've operated for decades with an eye toward trying to make sure the public doesn't understand the difference between semi-auto and full auto. So, question number 1, do you manufacture assault weapons for civilian use? No. Question number 2, do you sell assault weapons for civilian use? No. We make a lot of AR-15s, but no, is the answer. Which firearms does your company agree not to sell to civilians? The answer is real simple. We obey all federal and state laws about firearms. So if they say we can't sell them to anyone, we don't sell them. We obey all the laws. Do you require your dealers to conduct background checks? We follow all state and federal laws. So when background checks are required, our dealers do that. Does your company have a plan in place to invest in gun and ammunition tracing technology? We follow and obey all federal laws. Do you use at a minimum industry best practices for inventory control and transactions? Of course, gun companies, you may not be aware, have to, they're required by law to control inventory, to track anything that has a serial number on it. They have to know where it is. So the answer is we follow and obey all federal and state laws. Clearly, those answers will not be satisfactory to Toledo, Ohio. Because, of course, what they want is for companies to say, oh, my gosh, we're going to lose your business, so we're going to stop making contemporary firearms. Oh, that's what they actually are, huh? Contemporary firearms, modern rifles. I mean, forget sporting. The AR-15 platform is 50-plus years old. It is the modern rifle, simple as that. Used for everything that rifles are used for. Well, what would you need one for? Everything that a rifle is used for. Target shooting, hunting, self-protection, recreation, environment control. Anything that you use any other rifle for, that's what you use it for. It's pretty simple, really. But it drives them crazy because they don't understand that. They don't. You would be amazed how many people think that no one has ever used a rifle in competition, an AR-15 rifle in competition. No one has ever used an AR-15 rifle for hunting. You'd be amazed at the very significant part of the population that would tell you, no one hunts with those. No one shoots competition with those. The only reason they exist is for murdering people. Yeah, except that, no, not true. More people are killed with fists and feet than they are with AR-15 rifles. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, well, the media didn't tell you that either. 866-TALK-GUN. Tom Gresham here. Be right back with more Gun Talk.
I heard the click, click, click of her stiletto heels coming down the hall. And I caught her perfume before she opened the door to my office. And she stood there looking like $1,000,000 tax-free. I want to talk to you, she said. Come back later, I said. I'm listening to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk right now.
Hey, when do you want to spot that burglar? When he's casing your home or after he's in? Ask John, whose Blink camera alerted him of burglars trying to break in while he and his family were home. Or Shannon, whose Blink camera caught a thief stealing packages. Both times, Blink video clips were sent to the police to help convict the crooks. Blink motion-activated indoor and outdoor cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 AA batteries that last up to 2 years. And if you're traveling over the holidays, Blink's live feed option lets you monitor your home and check in on pets from anywhere using the Blink smartphone app. No contract, no subscriptions, totally affordable, and Blink works with Alexa. Blink camera systems make great holiday gifts, and they're a brilliant way to monitor holiday packages deliveries. Save up to a whopping 40% off all add-on cameras and systems through December 22nd while supplies last. Visit blinkprotect.com/holiday. Listen up. blinkprotect.com/holiday. Blink is an Amazon company. Going straight to the phones. Line 3, Mark's with us out of Salem, Virginia. Hello, Mark. You're on Gun Talk.
Hi, Tom.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to follow up on last week's topic about safe interaction of CCW holders with police.
Right.
And I just couldn't help but to think about that, I think it's the Philip Castillo shooting up in Minnesota.
Right.
He tried to tell the officer that, and he actually did use the word firearm, but then supposedly was maybe reaching for his license to show him, and
right.
It went south.
Yeah, he got shot and killed. It went south. Yeah.
Yeah, right in his own car.
Yeah.
But, say, got to keep your hands where they can see them on the steering wheel. And there's a number of states that make you tell the officer immediately when they come up that you're supposed to be carrying. And right after that, I specifically told my wife, I said, never use the word gun. Say, I have a licensed weapon or something like that, but never use the word gun.
You can say, officer, I have a permit to carry. And then you say, how would you like to proceed?
Right,
the whole time
exactly.
where your hands are up, your fingers are spread out so they can see it. You're not making a fist. They know you're not carrying anything. I've tried to tell people, Mark, that, this is an extremely dangerous time and your life is in grave danger at that point.
Yep.
And you need to conduct yourself the best you can. Now, having said that, if people say, well, just put the gun down. Well, that's not necessarily realistic. I was talking to a gentleman this past week. He said, these are people who have never been in a real shooting. He says, I have. He's a cop. He said, people don't just drop and expire. They're flopping around on the ground. They're moving around. They got a gun over there somewhere. You don't put your gun in the holster when that's going on. So he said, back yourself up to a wall, get some cover, do what you got to do. But the reality is, it may not make sense. It may not be good tactics. Drop your gun and put it away immediately because there may still be a threat out there, or at least it's uncertain. None of we could come up with guidelines, but none of this are hard and fast rules that are going to work in every situation. And that's why we really need folks on both sides of this equation to be on board.
I took a course under Mas Ayub a number of years ago, and he said if you were involved with something like that, hopefully if you have someone with you or someone who witnessed it, give a welcoming committee to the police. Say, go over here, have your hands up, say, the bad guy's down, the good guy is, where has glasses and a plaid shirt, don't shoot him.
That's an excellent idea. Look, Masada Ayub is one of the clearest thinkers about this because he spent so many years working on it. I would encourage anybody to go take one of his classes. And in case you're not aware, depending on the class, you may not do any shooting at all. It may be entirely classroom work. When you came out of that, Mark, I'd love to get your take. How much different did you feel about your knowledge level?
Oh, it went up, 300%. It really was, and that was the thing. It was a gunfight is in your head to start with, and then hopefully you have thought about some things how you would react, and he really just breaks it down wonderfully, and it was an excellent class.
It stays with you too, doesn't it? I mean, you still have that, wow, I never thought of that moments.
And then you can teach others. Like I've told my wife so many things, and my buddies, and we practice when we go out.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate that. Good thoughts. Thank you, sir. I do want to catch John. Hey, John, Los Angeles. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Tom. How are you? I'm
great.
Good. Yeah, I got a quick question for you. I have a AR-556, and I was thinking about getting a 6.5 Grendel upper for a deer hunt. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. The short version is yeah. The 6.5 Grendel is a cool cartridge, and I don't think it's gotten the attention it deserves. Works really well out of an AR, shooting 6.5 bullets. If I would probably, it comes both in, you can find it in 1 and 8 and 1 and 9 twist rifles. I would probably 1 and 8, 1 and 8.
I have I'm sorry, go ahead.
You have a what?
I was going to say the barrel I'm looking at is a 1 and 8.
Okay, perfect. What would be the range that you'd be looking at generally for your deer hunting? How long would you be thinking to be shooting?
75 to 150.
Oh, yeah, easy peasy, as we say, easy. You could use almost any bullet for that. It would work just fine. And I'm not sure it's going to give you a whole lot more than you got out of your .223, but the good news is at least you get a new upper out of it.
Yeah, well, that's the deal. I will be hunting hogs also at the same time.
Oh, okay, different deal.
Well, I've hunted them with the 223, 5.56, right. And it's shot placement, and so far it's been pretty successful. But I thought I'd kind of up the firepower a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go from the bullets you're using there. You can go up to 130 grain bullets in the 6.5 Grendel, and now you're going to get more penetration because you're going to have higher sex zone density with those heavier, longer bullets.
Right. Good deal. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the information.
Absolutely. Have fun with it. Look, once you do it, give us a holler back. Let us know how it worked out for you, okay?
I will do so. I'm heading down to Texas in January.
Perfect. All right. You take care. 866-TALK-GUN if you have any experience with the 6.5 Grendel or, frankly, any of the 6.5 cartridges. It is such a hot topic right now. And people are kind of discovering or rediscovering or being aware of the 6.5s. I would love to get your experience with which 6.5 cartridge do you use or have you used, and how did it work for you? Give us a holler, 866-TALK-GUN.
Laser sights are an essential firearms training tool, improving the skill level of the shooter by enhancing proper fundamentals like sight alignment and trigger control, and providing life-saving practices that can be depended on in moments of crisis. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our laser training video, The Laser's Edge, and learn why Crimson Trace is making laser sights standard equipment.
Your everyday carry advantage. The new M&P Shield M2.0 pistol from Smith & Wesson has the enhancements of the M2.0 line with aggressive grip texture and a crisp and lighter trigger pull. Extremely thin and lightweight, you can carry it all day. Also available with an integrated Crimson Trace laser in 9 or 40. The M&P Shield M2.0. Visit smith-wesson.com.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at brownells.com/retro.
So have you used a 6.5? Well, that's for anything. I was going to say for hunting, but actually anything. There's so much competition shooting now. Long range, the 6.5 Creedmoor is hugely popular, but we just had a caller asking about the 6.5 Grendel. And yes, the Grendel will go in a standard AR-15 platform or lower receiver, whereas the 6.5 Creedmoor, you need the AR-10 platform, the larger. And of course, some people say, well, if you're going to do that, why didn't you get just a 260 Remington, shoot a 6.5? Yeah, you could. I know people who say, yeah, I actually prefer this 260 Remington. Particularly if you're a hand loader, particularly if you can specify the twist rate, and you can start matching things up, and you can start loading these longer VLD bullets. VLD stands for very low drag. Burger bullets, probably best identified as VLD. They are long and they are skinny. How does the magic work? It's a ballistics thing. It's a math thing. But I can explain it without going to math. If you were trying to move a Winnebago down the road, versus a Ferrari, you know that you could go the same speed with much, much less power, much less gasoline. Your mileage would be better on the Ferrari than it would be on a Winnebago. Okay, makes sense. The Winnebago is going to be much less affected by side winds. I mean, correction, the Ferrari is. The Winnebago is going to be blown all over the place. The Ferrari is going to be much less affected by winds. It's pretty much the same when you get these long, skinny bullets. It takes less power, not to get them started at the same speed. But what happens is they just hold on to their velocity better. You know how much wind resistance you get out of a Winnebago versus a Ferrari. And that's kind of what we're talking about. And yes, people say, well, then you can get these VLD, very skinny, long, cool bullets for your 300 Magnum and take advantage of that. Yes, you can. Absolutely. And that will work. But I would offer that one of the benefits of thinking about a 6.5 Creedmoor type cartridge using these long, skinny bullets, high ballistic coefficient bullets. And when I say high, I mean something above 5.5. And we even have them in the 6s, which is very interesting, very cool. What happens is you can, once the bullet gets to about, call it, just pick a number, 300 yards, that 6.5 is going as fast as and carrying as much energy as a 308 that started with a heavier bullet and had more recoil. At 400 yards, the 6.5 Creedmoor, light kicking, right, is going as fast or faster and delivering more energy than a 7mm Remington Magnum. And somewhere between 400 and 500 yards, your 6.5 Creedmoor, assuming you are comparing it with standard bullets, is going faster and hitting harder than a 300 Magnum. Okay, well, what if you use the skinny bullets in your Magnum? Yeah, you can. But now you're shooting a Magnum. Heavier rifle, bigger rifle, much more recoil, more expensive ammo. And look, I've shot a lot of big kicking guns, and I'm pretty good at it, frankly. But there comes a point where you go, yeah, this is just not fun anymore. And I like to go out and shoot. And I will go out and shoot 100, 200 rounds with something like a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 257 Roberts. But I don't like to go shoot 300 rounds or 200 rounds of 300 mag or 338 Win Mag, which I love the cartridge. But it's not fun to go shoot 100 to 200 rounds with that. The more you shoot, the better you get. And if you can hit and anchor a buck or a bull at 400, 500 yards with the Creedmoor, you can't, there's no such thing as overkill. You can't make them deader than dead. If it does the job, it does the job. Why wouldn't you go with less recoil, less cost, lighter weight that bucks the wind? It really is. I know people say, well, is it really an elk cartridge? Yes, with the right bullets, it absolutely is. If you hit them in the right place, it absolutely is. Of course, I've always said, a 257 Weatherby is a great elk cartridge if you hit them in the right place. 257 Roberts is if you hit them in the right place with the right bullet. Oh, yeah, hit them in the right place. Gee, less recoil would help with that too, wouldn't it? Huh? Yeah, I know people say, well, that's just not elk gun. Yes, it is. It actually passes up the 270 Winchester at about 300 yards. And most people would agree that the 270 is a pretty decent elk cartridge. But then again, it probably takes a 400 Magnum to take an elk, right? Right. Going to Scott on line 2, Carson City, Nevada. Hey, Scott, welcome to Gun Talk.
Thank you. Regarding your 6.5 issue, I've used both a 6.5 and an 06, and I asked you about 2 years ago what to take on an antelope trip. You may not recall. But my comment would be the difference you'll notice I chose to use the 6.5 Creedmoor. Right. Because the Savage Model 11 is lighter than my 30-06. Ah. But because of the difference in weight, they essentially have the same felt recoil.
Interesting. So, and as we like to say, recoil is temporary and weight is constant.
Yes. That was my calculation.
So how did the Creedmoor work for you?
Unfortunately, I got skunked, but I had a great time.
So it wasn't the rifle's fault.
Oh, no, it was not the rifle's fault.
Okay. All right, so what are you looking at now?
I was looking at the Thompson Center Compass rifle, and I was wondering if you've had any experience with it, because it has a cock-on-opening bolt. And when I've tried to use them, they're very stiff, and trying to cock it from my shoulder, and it just rips it out of position. Does it loosen up, or do you have any experience with it?
No, that's how it works. It cocks on opening, and I had the exact same experience that you did. I know it's a fine design. I know it is, some people, and I think this is going to be a personal preference deal. I guess, part of it, Scott, is I've been shooting so long that I've not used a cock on open design before. And when I used it was kind of like I just couldn't get used to it. Doesn't mean it's bad. I just couldn't get used to it. And because there are so many other really good rifles in that ballpark, I just kind of moved on. But, at the same time, I wouldn't want to dissuade somebody from trying it, because somebody who's not you or me may go, I don't have a problem with this. This is fine. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's where you go. But no, I get to your answer. That's how it works. It cocks on opening. And I just found that I'm so used to being able to flip a bolt up with a flick of a finger and rack it and then kind of smack it back down so it cocks when it's going back down, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Well, that's basically what I got there. But look, you already know you've got good rifles, and you know that there's a ton of good rifles and lots of choices. Not that there's much in the way of bad, but a lot of good ones out there, and it's going to be personal preference. When you're in that $350 to $700 range, it's startling how good the stuff is. Hey, thank you for your call, sir. Hey, by the way, if you got a bone to pick with me, whether it's about cartridges, rifles, or gun rights, give me a call. We'd like to get you on the after show. We're going to be rolling into the after show in just a minute. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. Oh, don't forget, shopguntalk.com. We've got some specials going on over there. We got T-shirts and hats and all kind of cool things. And actually, I hadn't thought of that before. There's some good gifts over there. We got DVDs and some other things there. Shopguntalk.com. So check that out. In the meantime, if you are a concealed carry person, give some thought to this idea of just because you're the good guy, as Masada Ayub says, look, you're the good guy, but the cops who are rolling in, they cannot see your halo. All they see is a gun. That's where training comes in. If you go to a gun site or Thunder Ranch or Shoot Right Academy or any of the other good schools, they're going to teach you, okay, after that, you need to be looking. You need to look to both sides. You need to be thinking about, what do I do now? Cops are coming. Do I want to have my gun out? On and on and on. You know what? If you'd like to join us for after show, what kind of training do you do? Do you train for that? Do you talk about that? Is that a concern for you? It should be. We all need to be working on this. And I'll keep you posted as I go forward on this project, because it's important, and we're going to save some lives with this. And we all have to be as careful as we can. Check your six. Be safe out there.